On today's episode, we are talking all things Chaser Autographs with Mojo Autographs. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Power Sports Memorabilia Show. I'm your host, Matt Powers. Thank you again for joining me. Please visit the website, powersportsmemorabilia.com. Also, give me a follow over there on Instagram at Powers Autographs. And we have another special guest today. Some would call him maybe an autograph chaser legend. I don't know if he refers to himself as that, but Mr. Jay from at Mojo Autographs. You can find him on Instagram and also his YouTube channel with the same handle. Jay, thanks again for joining me. How you doing, man?
Man, doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I don't take the label of legend or go to any of that stuff. I'm just like everybody else, man, and I just try to help people, and I just am using what I was taught here, so just doing everything everybody else does.
Well, you're kind of the first, I guess, chaser that I've been introduced to, as far as someone who was out there getting like really good stuff that people really wanted, not the bums out there, you're out there getting the Currys and all that kind of stuff, So talk about real quickly kind of your background in the chasing industry, how you got involved in it. Are you still doing it? What's going on with that?
Yeah, man. So I got introduced to like autograph collecting in 2010. I'm this sophomore in high school. I never collected cards or autographs before I entered high school. I always knew people did that, but thought it was kind of weird, which is weird because I love it now. It's a passion for me. But when I started in 2010, it just started at a, Clippers-Kings game, and I got my first autograph, and I thought it was so cool because I got a piece of the game, the game ticket signed by Jason Thompson, and Blake Griffin was warming up his rookie year. He was injured, but he was warming up, and just getting Jason Thompson on that ticket, it just fueled me to want to have this just keep collecting, and I got this rush out of it. And it was just, I started meeting the same people and started going to signings and like free autograph signings at Carl's Jr., and I'd see the same people, and they started bringing photos, and then people were bringing jerseys, and I was getting tickets and note cards. And I think that started everything. And the big thing that happened for me is you graduate from graphing into the games and into the hotels, and you start getting when I got Kobe in 2012, that was just one of the coolest things. And to look back on it, it started the wave, man. And it's been one of the best things that ever happened to me. I've learned so much through autographing in business, life, communication with people. And, we'll get into that.
Right on, man. Well, Jay's going to talk a little bit about kind of, some tips that he's got for you guys on chasing autographs. Maybe he'll share some war stories with us, some of the good ones and the bad ones there. But let's just talk about, you kind of touched on it for just a second there, Jay, but what is it that you like most about autograph chasing and just the autograph community in general? You talked about the community. Specifically, what is it that you really love? Like, what keeps you going with it?
Yeah, man. I'm 26 years old. I've been doing this for 10 years. And, some people say, oh, you're old, or you're doing this. And, something the common denominator I've kept in autograph collecting is I love the autograph community. I have such a passion for seeing other people build their collections. And, if I wanted to be miserable doing this hobby, then it's not the right hobby for me. If I want to, compare myself and judge other people and try to one up, that's not my attitude. I have a complete 180 degree attitude change in this 10th year of autograph collecting. And the fact is I'm having fun doing this. And nothing beats the rush, man, the memories, and you get to make a bunch of friends out here. I've made some amazing friends through autograph collecting. A lot of us start as this hobby, then we get into the business, and then some people try to make it a full-time job. And, for me, I think it's priceless. When you get that Mike Trout sweet spot, or you meet Kobe Bryant, and you look back on that and you think, wow, each autograph in this room, I can look around and I remember exactly where I was and who I was with, and you can't beat that, and I know people love private signings, and when you get a good job and you can do that and you can buy all those signings, I totally could do it, but for me, there's a difference between a private signing and an IP autograph experience. I get a priceless experience, and I can't beat that. I can't get that entertainment value anywhere else unless I was chasing.
Right. That's what's, in my side, the selling side of this, that's why people should buy an autograph. And you touched on it already is, it's the memory. It's why you were there. You were there with your Uncle Joe, and it was Uncle Joe's last Chicago Cubs game and stuff like that. Or Mike Trout just hit his 300th home run. I know nobody was there for that one this time, but that's what really sells and what makes the autograph industry so cool, I think, is the feeling you get when you have that piece next to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It could be a piece of history. You know, a player takes care of you after a big milestone game. I mean, you can't beat that. I met Damien Lillard during his rookie year. He was dropping 30, 40 points. Nobody knew who he was. You know, he's coming up on the rise. And, like, that guy always was hooking it up at the hotel his rookie year. And now Damien Lillard, you know, Dame time. I knew him before Dame time, you know. So it's just – a player like that, you watch him grow up, man. I mean, like, he was, like, close to my age. And when I would meet him, it was like I was a 16-year-old. He was, like, 18, 19. It was, like – it was cool, man. It was kind of cool.
I think the younger guys can obviously relate to you guys, and as opposed to maybe, you know, the 35 and 40-year-old guys that you're out there chasing. You know, I think you've definitely got more of a connection with those younger players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something I just talked about with my buddy Patrick Ryan, and, you know, I'm on board with this, is you see too many autograph seekers going up, can you sign my ball? Sweet spot, please sign for my kid. Please do this. Please do that. There's a difference in autograph etiquette between myself and other people that want to say, sign the sweet spot, do this. How many players hear that all the time? I think my biggest tip I give to people is communication. That's something I learned. Going up to someone and asking them for an autograph is not a natural thing for us to learn. And I've been taught. That's why I think I'm so good with marketing and I talk to people, is I've learned that skill in autographing. I have to go up to someone and I don't just say, hey, can I have your autograph? I have to do some research, you know, hey, this guy grew up in Sacramento. Oh my God, I'm from Sacramento. That's crazy. And he had a 2020 career in this year, and he did this, and his family supports this charity. And the biggest difference is I'm not going up to him saying, hey, can I have your autograph? Sometimes I'm lazy and I do that, but the way to get the experience and get that cool autograph and the inscription and everything else is you throw that player a curveball, you make them laugh, you make them smile, or you know, you treat them like a human being. You don't just act like a zombie. You know, autograph etiquette, nobody really talks about that, but you put yourself out there and you go around and people are just zombies, and then you got somebody coming out quick with like, hey, I remember when you did this in 1999, like, and then the player glows up. You can see the player is not thinking eBay. They're thinking, wow, this is a fan. This is awesome. I'm going to hook this person up. And a lot of the old time graphers have that tool of the trade with them, you know?
Well, you gotta be human, you know, and I think too, it works both ways. Also, players will remember that story that they told you, but then you also remember when a player tells you the story just out of the blue. You know, you're just like, I remember that time that so and so told me this story, and we were just chopping it up like we were best buds forever. I mean, you remember that sometimes more than you remember the exact autograph you got.
Oh my gosh, dude! One of my favorite stories and one of my favorite players I used to graph was Kevin Durant, and back in 2015. I'm graphing the OKC Thunder, and they spent the night that night. So the night before, the hotel was crowded. Kevin Durant came over. The security guard, Chap, or they call him Flash, gave Kevin Durant this black Sharpie. You know, I had this gorgeous 16x20. I wanted it perfectly signed, and I didn't get that item signed, but I waited because I knew they were spending the night, and I had a psychology class the next morning at Santa Monica College. So I get Kevin Durant that day. Then, in black Sharpie, and I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to try tomorrow. They're spending the night. Maybe they'll be happy, you know. And Kevin Durant was injured. He was on crutches during this, so he didn't play. So, I thought maybe he'd be in a lighter mood. I show up to the hotel about 6 a.m. because they're leaving for an 8 a.m. flight. So I could still make my class. I could still get Durant. So I show up to the hotel. It's myself and another guy named Brandon. We're the only ones waiting for Kevin Durant. He's on crutches, and I'm thinking, man, this is it's going to be a tough situation. Well, Kevin Durant, I look over, I'm like, hey, KD, I got class in an hour, man. If you can sign this, it's in Sacramento. I'm from Sacramento. You've seen me before. And Kevin Durant kind of looked up, and he's like, hey, man, I'll take care of you in 1 second. Kevin Durant comes over, and I still have the 16x20. It says 2J, and this signature is so big. And Kevin Durant was like, so where are you going to school at, man? And I was like, I'm going to Santa Monica College. He's like, you going to be going to UCLA? He was having a full-blown conversation with me about my education, you know? And fast forward to, a couple months later, I come back to my hometown of Sacramento, and the Thunder spent the night again. And getting Kevin Durant was a big deal. And Kevin Durant, I have this sign that says, Katie, you're our MVP, because the year before he had won MVP. And he comes right over, and I'm like, hey, man, do you remember me from Los Angeles? And he's like, hey, man, I remember you from LA. You were going to school. And I was like, thank you for always taking care of me, man. And I was like, can you put my name on this basketball? And I still have the basketball and the 16x20. And, if I see Kevin Durant, I don't know if he'll recognize me. It's been a while. I haven't graphed him on the Warriors, but I mean, he saw me in similar cities, Sacramento to LA. I would go a lot of back and forth. So players started to recognize me, but not in the way of like being a dealer, in the way of like giving me a memory and just having a memory with me. It's so cool.
Well, that totally makes sense because Durant's obviously a big education guy, so I could see how he would make that a big personal note to you, I guess. So, but you touched on briefly. There's some kind of do's and don'ts and some etiquette and all that kind of stuff with chasing autographs and talking to athletes about their autograph. What are some brief kind of do's and don'ts that you would recommend to somebody out there who's going out there and getting their autograph of their favorite athlete for the first time?
My do's. Just be a fan, man. Even if you're not a fan, do some research and find out a little bit about that player. And, this is something we don't do enough of is we're not having fun anymore. A lot of people get very uptight, anxious. I've been the guy. Trust me, I've been the anxious guy. We wait outside the hotel, for 10 hours and you don't get anything. Then, yeah, I'm pretty pissed off,
Brutal.
Stuff like that. But, the don'ts is we talked about it, don't be a zombie, man. And be respectful to a player. There's no sense in telling them, hey, hey, you make millions of dollars. You're a piece of crap. You should be signing. That's not the way to do it. It's
right.
They're still human beings.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that irks me when I hear this is grown adults complaining about so-and-so player didn't do what they wanted. And, the players are under no obligation to sign anything that you give them. It's not under their contract. They don't have to do it. It's just out of the courtesy of their heart, or some do it because they think it's part of the deal. But, just be thankful for what you get sometimes. It's completely free. Again, you're buying that memory, which no amount of cash can actually throw out there to get you that memory.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a priceless experience. My attitude's changed a lot on it. I mean, I think 5 years ago, if you asked me the question, I would have been like, yeah, they owe us this, they owe us that. But, in going through life experience in the graphing game a little more, I think just having a positive attitude on it, just acting like going into this thing with no expectations is the key for me.
So let's talk a little bit about those experiences that you've had. You've mentioned a couple of the really, really good ones. Let's touch on those first. You said you got Kobe back in, I forget when you said there, about 10 still years ago. What, besides Kobe, what are some of the best experiences that you've had and some of the more notable players that you've gotten out chasing autographs?
Yeah, man. I mean, I lived in Los Angeles for a couple years and went to school out there. And I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's so much going on in Los Angeles. I've met some of my favorite rappers. I've run into Kanye West, and a lot of people give Kanye a bad rap, but he's actually one of the nicest celebrities that will sign an autograph or take a picture with you, even though it doesn't seem like it. And Mike Trout, man, I'm a huge Mike Trout fan, not just because the way he plays. If he doesn't sign for me, at least if he signs for a kid, that changed my perspective a lot. Is when I see players signing for kids, and as I grow up. Some of my favorite chases, there's a lot of like, I think there's a lot of factors into it. I think when the amount of effort I put in, the priceless experience, some people like the one-on-one experience. Sometimes I like having like a road dog. I like having one of my friends with me when I'm chasing someone. One of my kind of probably favorite experiences is I was going for John Travolta, and I haven't really talked about this story, but I went for John Travolta at a film festival up in Napa one year. And there was probably 40 autograph seekers from the Bay Area and Sacramento and, LA. Some people were just randomly up there just to get John Travolta and a handful of names. So we're at this Napa Film Festival. The thing about security with autographs, and we didn't really talk, you didn't ask me about this, but sometimes when security has never had a celebrity, they tend to get a little anxious and they overreact and they go with this no autograph policy, which is kind of hilarious to me. The rent-a-cops that they hire get a little aggressive. When if a homeless person stepped on the property, they would not act as aggressive. But when an autograph seeker comes out with an 11x14, hands up,
Oh, yeah.
It's funny to me. But anyway, they had this place like the 96 Bulls or 98 Bulls were staying at this Napa Film Festival. So it was pretty hard to get an autograph. But Travolta is one of the nicest guys. He comes over, he signs. I knew Travolta was a nice guy. So I'll tell you, man, I printed 20 items, 20 items. And I took consignments, and I knew, man, I was going to make some money on this, Sometimes you got to be honest about that. Like GTV Reality, one of the autograph seekers in New York, always tells the people, hey, I'm selling this to make some money. When I sell an autograph, this is a tangent, but when I sell an autograph, it's so I can keep something for my personal collection. If it doesn't mean enough to me, then I'll move it to somebody who would appreciate it. Somebody that doesn't have the time to get the autograph. Somebody that lives in North Dakota and they can't have access to John Travolta. At least they're buying it from somebody that knows, it was real. I have no business forging autographs. I'm not into that kind of stuff. I get everything signed, and I hope to God, hey, if it passes third-party authentication, awesome. If it doesn't, hey, here's your money back. I'm not going to trip about a $40 deal. I've been doing this for a long time, enough time to know that $40, $100 is nothing. Even $1,000. I don't, I'm all about the reputation. But anyway, the Travolta story, so John freaking signs, and then he signs again. I get maybe 2 or 3, and I'm thinking, gosh, dude, that's not enough. My greedy side comes in. I want all this stuff signed, and I know if I had John in a calm setting, he would hit all this stuff. So one of the autograph seekers, my buddy @SilverBlue on Instagram, is like, get in your car. We're gonna find him. We're gonna follow him, and we're gonna try to get him. So you know how follows work. Travolta gets in this GNC. We're 3 of us are from the same city, all from Sacramento. We all could have carpooled, but we didn't do that. We all took separate cars, which was kind of wild. So we know Travolta's going to an after party. So we get in our cars, we follow his car to this after party, and it's in a winery. A big winery, and all of us just pull in. There's 3 of us, all from the same city. We all know each other. We grab all our phone boards, all our photos. I have a blue Sharpie ready, and I'm looking at my 2 buddies, Silver, Blue, and my other friend. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? And he's like, just run. We're running, because Travolta pulled in and they were asking for a verification invites. So we couldn't do that. So we park in this under this random tree. We all get out. I grab every photo I have, and I just start running through a vineyard, and there's bumps, and we're all running. I almost tumble over. We end up right in front of Travolta. There's no security. It's all like dinner people, famous people. We get under this area. We have all our photos ready. Travolta comes out, looks at all of us, smiles, and says, good, now I can take care of you. Well, one of my buddies like, hey, Mr. Travolta, can we have your autograph? And Travolta looks at all of us, like, finally, now I can take care of you guys. Dude signs everything, doesn't ask any questions, gives us full autographs, calm setting, and we keep flipping photos. And he knew, man, Travolta is a guy that appreciates the autograph game and the chase, and he hooked it up that night, and I got all my consignments done for the people on 101.
What are some of the, I don't want to call them bad experiences, because that's not really what it sounds like it is to you. What are some of the more tougher autographs that you've had? Maybe some that you didn't get that you wanted to get, or some disappointing ones?
Yeah, man, disappointment's tough. I haven't graphed in a while, so it's weird. I'm talking about all the great memories, but I can't, the ones that suck are the ones where you really look up to somebody. They used to tell, I'm back from I'm born in 94, but somebody told me that if you ever looked up to Ken Griffey Jr., you shouldn't graph him because he's not nice. And that'd be like me looking up to LeBron. I looked up to LeBron, and you go to try to graph LeBron. The thing people don't realize is, people just go to the hotel just to observe LeBron, just to see him up close, because LeBron's not picking up a pen. You know that. LeBron's strictly upper deck. He's not going to sign any IP autographs for free. That was done and said in 2003, 2004, obviously. But I think knowing when I first entered the hobby, realizing that LeBron was not about signing autographs, that kind of sucked for me, because I always looked up to him when he was on the Cavaliers. And, another aspect of bad experiences is wasting a lot of time trying to get autographs and then getting nothing, and that's happened. It happens a lot with music artists when they take tour buses and you don't have access to that. I've had some interesting experiences. That Kendrick Lamar behind me, I still kept it. And it's funny because if I ever meet him, I really am going to show him. I might bring it with me and show him that I never sold it. So I'm going for Kendrick Lamar in LA one year, and he's on top of the world. Kendrick Lamar is one of the best. That song came out a year or 2 years before. And Kendrick Lamar is one of the rare rappers. He wasn't really doing the signings or signing those damn vinyls. That damn album didn't even come out yet. That's how rare he was. And I go for Kendrick Lamar, and I look up to him. I think he's like one of the best rappers. And we go up to him, and he's like, no, y'all motherfuckers selling this shit. And I mean, it was one of my first experiences graphing in LA, and I turned beet red. I couldn't believe it. One of my favorite rappers right in front of me. And I instantly just pull up my phone. I'm like, Kendrick, I do an Instagram. I run a page. I just collect this stuff. And I showed him a photo op, of me with like Corey Brewer or something. And I'm like, man, this is my hobby. I love this. You could put my name on it. I don't care. And he grabs the silver Prisma. He's like, all right, man, I'll trust this bullshit. And he signs this KL and signs for everybody there. I don't think he wanted us to know where he was. And you know what's funny looking back is he was going to produce that damn vinyl, the album. And I think he was really low key. And I had a tip from TMZ. And I think Kendrick Lamar was just really trying to stay under the radar before the album came out. So looking back, at the time, it crushed me. Looking back, I'm glad I met him because he's still one of my favorites. But the pedestal did go down for him a little bit because he was kind of rough around the edges when I met him.
So you said you just still have the Kendrick Lamar autograph. How many autographs do you think you have in your collection right now?
Man, dude, too many. I mean, I look at some of them, like I look at Chester Bennington, Linkin Park. He passed away. I met the guy, what's the guy's name from Soundgarden, man? The Chris Cornell. I met him.
Yep.
You know, some of these guys that just their music was very powerful to a certain amount of people. Like Linkin Park, I love Chester Bennington. I love Linkin Park. And when that guy died, that was sad, man. I try not to take my autographs for granted as much anymore. But when someone dies, people like to cash out, man. But for me, it's like, I can't tell you a number on it, but there's a lot. And there's just, each one I have a memory, man. I mean, I'm looking at a Tim Allen Buzz Lightyear, and I literally remember getting that at the Laugh Factory in LA after he had eaten at the dinner place after. And just, I was a little tipsy when I got it, and he knew, and his assistant was like, you guys are having a fun night. And then my friend Gio was like, we're going to UCLA, you know? And Tim Allen's like, all right, boys, lay him out. And he signed everything. So it's so funny, man. These interactions you get, you never forget them.
So you touched on kind of earlier, kind of the third party authentication, you know, and I'm with you, man. You know, if you sell an autograph and somebody sends it to some third party authenticator and it doesn't come back, or it's inconclusive, whatever it is, you know, in the long term, $40, $100, $1,000, you know, it's not even that big of a deal, right? It's just small potatoes, you know. You try to make everybody happy and you try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. With that being said, though, you know, especially for chasers, you know, third-party authentication can be a blessing and also disguise at the same time. What are your thoughts on third-party authentication, specifically when it talks about, you know, for chasers? You know, is that a help for you guys? Is it a burden? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, you know, a lot of my close friends, a lot of people on 101 know this. I never get stuff authenticated. Shocking, right? It's a needle in a haystack kind of thing. You know, I maybe 10 items, 15 items every like couple months if I get authenticated. It helps. Authentication is good, you know, for the Joe Schmo that needs that verification, or for eBay, it gives them that COA. I mean, it increases the price of what you got. You shouldn't sell stuff unauthenticated. The difference is with me is, you know this, man. I've been around the block with autographs. I mean, I was running 101, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn or say I'm somebody, but I had built a reputation for the last 10 years on the fact that, hey, I get authentic autographs. Sometimes I sell them, but I keep a lot of them, and I have a lot of cool stories, and I put myself out on YouTube and Instagram, and I share my experiences with everybody enough to where it's gotten me that I'm grateful for it, but people will buy my stuff without authentication if they know it's real. You know, it's just like that. But my thoughts on authentication are, you know, you put a question out there for me, and I'm going to answer it. It's about, what does the industry have to do better? And I'm going to bust it out right now. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not about the industry. It's not about PSA. It's not about Beckett. It's not about JSA, GAI, all these guys. The people that are buying the autographs, you don't need to study the sticker. You need to study the signature. You need to do your research and check, you know, compare the exemplars, the way the autograph is, compare it to other autographs that are authentic, and base your knowledge off that. There's too many people basing knowledge off of this. There's a lot of people that are, you know, in Beckett sending stuff to PSA, hoping PSA passes fakes. And there's people in PSA that are blatantly selling fake, submitting fakes to Beckett, hoping Beckett fails. PSA, Beckett, and even JSA, they're dogs, man. They just want to attack each other. And I know firsthand what's going on, you know, because I have good, reputable friends on both sides, you know. But if I had to choose, I think PSA, Beckett, and JSA, you know, if I submit it and, you know, they thought it was real or they thought it was fake, like, at the end of the day, that's their opinion. And I'm not going to bust myself, you know, if something fails. I mean, I've only had a couple things fail when somebody bought something from me, and I messaged him like, hey man, just send me the Urlacher and the Clemens back. Here's $60. And that $60, like the Clemens and the Urlacher ended up giving away to like some friends as gifts. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
You can't nickel and dime this stuff.
Yeah, and and that's what somebody that's just coming into the industry, somebody that is maybe buying this as a gift for their son or daughter and stuff like that. Yeah, they prefer that PSA and all that kind of stuff. And I think they're shocked sometimes when I tell them, say, listen, yes, the sticker is important. It's a piece of the puzzle, I guess. But the most important thing is what the autograph looks like. And I always kind of get this kind of silence and this kind of dumbfounded look back, like, what do you mean the autograph's the most important part? And I say, well, you have to study the autograph. You have to know what the real ones look like, like you can't just be looking at a sticker and that tells you the whole story. It's a piece of the puzzle, but the most important thing is what that autograph looks like.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got an Al Pacino where he just did like a cursive A with like a line and he just threw the marker down. I know it's real, and yeah. I'm not going to send it to third-party authentication. I keep the Pacino as like, hey, he shit signed me that day and I like it. I'll keep it. It's a cool photo. And, I don't have a price for it, so it's fine.
All right. So, Jay, I've noticed that you've been getting into cards a lot lately. Like it seems like every single American has. And, the market's been going crazy lately with cards. People making a lot of money, people losing some money, maybe buying those Cristiano Ronaldo's at $4,500 and now they're worth $2,000, man. So what are your thoughts on the card market right now? Is this here to stay or is this just a fad?
Yeah, man, these cards are crazy, man. When I collected, it just didn't seem like they were that big of a deal. Nobody really cared about rookie cards because rookie cards were worthless. People just wanted like a rookie autograph of like, Geno Smith, Sam Bradford, and they hoped it was numbered to 99, not 2099, And now, everyone just has these PSA 10s. The card market, man, it is here to stay. There's a lot of outside money into this thing. The only thing I'll tell you about the card market is there's probably going to be a big dip because a lot of people, there's a lot of delayed PSA orders. So there's a lot of Jaws, Zions, and stuff like that at PSA that's starting to come back. So the pop reports are going to go up. And, that's going to be crazy. But people are worried about a card market crash, and I just don't see it happening. I think a lot of the soccer stuff is starting to ebb and flow and even out. And, something that I think about cards is, sports were taken away and graphing, a lot of graphers are starting to collect cards now because you can't really graph with this COVID starting to wrap up. The next best thing is to collect cards. So, I mean, people are investing in it, but you have to think too, the factors that play a role is like the stock market's kind of been, people are holding all their stocks now, but people have unemployment money. So they're putting into something they can hold. And, this is like gorgeous. Why wouldn't you want something like this? If he has a good week one game, this $1,150 investment could probably turn to like $1,800 easily. There's one on eBay for $1,900 with 22 watchers on it.
So would you consider yourself more of a collector or more of an investor or both?
Yeah, man, both, bro. Any money I make on this, it's just it's going to end up. I mean, my accounts that I have, I've saved a lot of money. A lot of stuff I end up selling. It goes back into it for stuff that I really appreciate and I collect. Like look at the Tatis Juniors. People call me crazy when I spent $700 on 10 of them. Now, they're like $280, $300 now.
Right.
Side money, man.
The 410 card, man, has just been kind of blowing up here. I think that's what I really like more about the card market. I said versus the autograph market. We talked about this just briefly here, but the memories you make. I've been opening up packs of cards and all kind of stuff with my 8-year-old and kind of seeing her get involved in it. And she actually pulled a Luis Robert to 50 gold auto. Wow. And she was holding it. I was like, whoa, hold on, let me grab that real quick, And so, she's convinced that she's the one that's doing all the great stuff, and that's so fine, cool. I let her open all that stuff up. But that's what I love about the card market, man, is like it's a really big community and it's kind of like Christmas almost, like when you send stuff off to get it graded. What are you gonna get? You don't really know until you get that report or all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like gambling a little bit too. And entertainment factor is high in the card market. And I think that's why it's here to stay.
Yeah. And like another thing about cards, cards are so much, I'm going to say it, man. Cards are so much easier to move than graphs. The thing about graphs, man, IP autographs, private signings, it's got to be the right jersey, the right marker, the right position. The photo can't get damaged. You got something in a PSA 10, unless you're throwing this against the wall playing catch with it, you really can't mess this up, and you can ship this very easily. You could do like a priority, or you could do like a, if it's a lower end, you just ship it first class, you wrap it in bubble wrapping and hope for the best. Cards are just a lot easier to move, and there's a lot more card collectors than there are people that seek like signed memorabilia.
Well, it's so much easier to store. You're not taking up a huge space on your wall. Your wife's not mad at you. Your girlfriend's not mad at you, And again, I think there's just something tangible about holding something in your hand too. Whereas like a frame 16 by 20, you're not really going to hold it in your hand. Frame jersey, you're not holding it in your hand. But I think people are really into it because I think they like the investment aspect of it. I think there is that going level, that little gambling thing. What is it going to be worth after Luka hits that game winner? What's it going to be like if Kawhi wins a third title now and his third MVP? And people are kind of buying stuff for that potential, and I think that's really what's driving a good portion of the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, right on, Landon. Well, hey, Jay, appreciate you coming on, man. We've had a lot of good conversation here, and I appreciate you taking the time. Not everybody gets a chance to do this, man. And not everybody gives me the chance to interview them, so I definitely appreciate that. You guys make sure you follow him over there on Instagram at Mojo Autographs, and you can also find his YouTube channel. Same thing, Mojo Autographs. Make sure you reach out to Jay if you're looking out for any specific autographs. He's got a bunch there. Just not any of the teams that he mentioned, the Eagles and all that kind of stuff. He's completely out of that one. But Jay will hook you up, and if any of you guys got any questions on the autograph stuff, man, he's always available there as well. Jay, man, appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today, man.
All right, thank you guys again for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the interview with Jay and you got a lot of information out of it. Again, be sure to follow him over there on Instagram at Mojo Autographs. Also, check out my website, powersportsmemorabilia.com. Also, give me a follow over there on Instagram at Powers Autographs. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.